And Israel has issued travel warning for its citizens in India, suspecting that an explosion near the Israeli embassy in New Delhi on Tuesday was quote-unquote a possible terror attack. A team of National Investigation Agency has arrived at the Israel embassy in New Delhi to begin the probe. They are reported to have zeroed down on two suspects. The NIA is looking into the possibility of a chemically triggered explosion. Israeli nationals have been warned to try and avoid going to crowded places like malls and markets and places that have been identified as serving Westerners and Jews. They have also been urged to stay on alert in public places. According to the Israeli Foreign Ministry, there were no casualties in the explosion. The incident is under investigation by local authorities. A National Investigation Agency team has also examined the site. For more on this, we're now being joined by our correspondent Jody Cohen from Ra'anana. Thank you so much for joining us, Jody.
Hi, Hem.
Jody, what can you tell us about Israel's position and reactions on the explosion outside of the Israeli embassy in New Delhi?
So we know that the Israeli and Indian security services are cooperating, investigating this blast. They're looking into whether or not it could have been a terror attack, and reportedly they have seen two suspects on CCTV, so they'll be investigating that. But Israeli commentators here are pointing out the fact that 2 years ago and in 2012 there were similar blasts at that site, and India attributed both of these to Iran. Now, the latest blast comes amidst the war and also rising threats from Iran against Israeli and Jewish targets abroad. For example, in Cyprus, they recently said that they foiled an Iranian plot against Israeli and Jewish targets. Now, as you said, Israel's National Security Council has issued this travel advisory warning people to avoid displaying Israeli symbols, avoid sites associated with Westerners, Israelis and Jews, and also to avoid revealing their location on social media. But people do appear still to be travelling. For example, one of the 129 hostages still being held captive in Gaza is Hirsch Goldberg Colin. And he was supposed to travel today to go on a more than 1 year trek in India. And his friends are still going. And they're also asking people who are on the flight that he was supposed to be on to take up posters to raise awareness as they travel around in India. But it remains to be seen what happens with that campaign, given these latest safety fears.
Right, Jody, of course, as I mentioned as well, the probe is underway. Has any progress been made on talks proposing a pathway to ending the fight here?
So Israel's Defense Minister Gallant has said that Israel is being attacked from 7 fronts, from Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, West Bank, Iraq, Yemen and from Iran, and says that Israel will respond to anyone who acts against Israel. And he said that this is going to be a long, hard war with heavy costs. And indeed, I'm in Ra'anana today, where 2 soldiers who come from Ra'anana, it's been announced that they've been killed in the past 24 hours in battle. But I've been speaking to people here, and there's a general feeling of support for this war, and that's because Israel is seen as facing an existential threat. But there is a media report that says that the IDF is going to be shifting to lower intensity fighting. And as you said, the talks are ongoing about Egypt's proposal ultimately to end the fighting. And that would involve Hamas giving up power for a permanent ceasefire, releasing all the hostages, and also Gaza being ruled by a Palestinian government of experts in the West Bank and Gaza. Now, Hamas and Islamic Jihad have rejected this proposal, but there's a report saying that a delegation from the Palestinian Authority is heading to Cairo for talks on this. And we know that Israel's Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer is also in Washington for talks. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, how those develops. But it doesn't look like it's outright being rejected from a number of the parties involved. But of course, Hamas and Islamic Jihad say that they have currently rejected this.
All right. Well, Jody, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. We will, of course, continue to track this closely.